I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey for more than 50 hours right now. And there is some elements in this game which is really good, but the rest is an absolute garbage that makes the game inefficient to be entertaining in the long process. That's what we are going to discuss today right now of why Assassin's Creed Odyssey failed and what Ubisoft could understand from my point of view. Do not repeat again when it comes to Valhalla and the following games in the future. Hello everybody, this is me Abju here. This is my first solo podcast for the game called Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We're going to start off with this game. So this is my first video of the episode solo podcast. Solo podcast number 1. The down to earth problem of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You know, gaming developers does a lot of things make the game more appealing to the audience and to invest a lot of time in the world, in the game, in the world. And its combat and its storyline. Everything that makes the game great. Assassin's Creed tried to implement it but absolutely failed in the long run. I made this statement in the stream. I made the stream like a couple of hours ago. I think it's still on Twitch due to a lot of problems with my internet connection. The stream had a lot of cut and corners in here and there, so you might probably won't get the full version of it. I actually stream on Twitch, so if you want to know my raw opinion of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you could definitely check it on my VOD in my Twitch account. All of the descriptions would be down below on my social medias and other live streaming platforms that I stream. So don't forget. And also, if you're watching the video right now in the video form, you can see all the social media websites which I am out there. But that's not the point. I made some raw opinions about Assassin's Creed Odyssey in my stream, and I would like to point out the important facts that I made in the video. So developers usually tend to extract good things about the video games which they made and which they saw and which they played in the past, and they extract like the good features of it as a source of innovation for their game. Assassin's Creed Origins was one of them. Assassin's Creed Origins is a turning point where they twisted the soul of the game, which is being an assassin, into an RPG open world experience. So when the game becomes open world, probably would have RPG features, and I bet even Ubisoft developers would like to call this an RPG game, but I disagree in a lot of sense. You don't want to go into that matter, but Assassin's Creed Origins had a lot of good features that was extracted to the Odyssey. Just like that, they get inspirations. But Odyssey is actually inspired from Origins, and the formation of the Origins was the giant takeover of the RPGing of video games these days. If you go and check it out, every game wants to brand themselves as an RPG, and when it comes to the combat mechanics, every game wants to frame themselves as Dark Souls type difficulty, Souls like combat, It's like when you give an early review copy to somebody and the game is kinda pretty hard, they will still say Dark Souls like combat. This is actually a positive clout. This is what game developers want. This is what game developers this is what game developers want the game community to hear is positive clothes. An RPG, a game is one big takeover when it comes to Assassin's Creed Origins. A lot of people kind of disagreed with the revolutionizing of the game. The problem standard altogether with how the Templars versus Assassins worked, because that was the only limiting thing in between the conversion of the game, the stealth game, to an open world RPG. But they still managed to keep that Templar versus Assassin bullshit, which I still disagree, which I hate to such an extent that I don't want that Templar versus Assassin lore bullshit into the game at any cost, because that only restricts the developers' freedom to try new things into the game, add new features into the game. This stupid ass bullshit of you living inside some kind of a avatar type box so that you could see the memories of the ancestors to find loot in the real world isn't entirely helping the game to move on as an RPG open world, which is what Ubisoft actually fails. But there is something even bigger in which they fail. It's the core of the game itself, which is what we are going to discuss right now. And I build up all this stuff that I mentioned a couple of seconds ago. I build up all those stuff so that I could add it into what I'm going to say right now. Assassin's Creed Origins had a lot of features that definitely showed a pathway for the new RPGing of the upcoming games in the future. But Odyssey definitely failed from every sides of the line. There wasn't one instinct in my time frame, maybe one, I don't know, but I gotta take a break because of a lot of life incidents that I had, which I had to focus. So I might have took a short break in Assassin's Creed Origins during one of my playthroughs, but throughout the entire experience, I could bet even now that I could finish the game without even taking a long-term break. Because when the game is too big, too giant, if it is not that interesting and if we are not experiencing something new in the ongoing process, just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, then it's not fun to play. But with the case of Origins was literally cool. What would you expect from an Egyptian game? You would probably expect a lot of deserty, vacant, vacuum land. Well, guess what? The vacuumness, the thick, raw, flat, deserty areas of Assassin's Creed Origins was much better than the lack of life in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, at its core, is soulless. I'm sorry to say, play this game for 50 hours. And guess what? I will definitely finish the main quests. Will try my best to go through all the side quests. And hell yeah, I'm going to finish all the DLC content in the game. Because I got the game. Now I gotta make the experience worth it. That's why I'm going through all the content. And unlike most YouTubers out there, I'm not in this heavy time schedule where I cannot uh, entirely experience what a game can offer, because for reviewers, for YouTubers, they gotta immediately shift from one game to other. That's why a lot of people, independent YouTube reviewers, had issues with completing the game because the game took so long to finish. I heard from one of the reviews that Assassin's Creed Odyssey single-handedly takes more than 62 hours to finish just the main quest itself. So imagine how dragging the game is. Let me tell you for a fact that I defended this game as much as my soul allowed me to. I'm not gonna lie, alright? I defended this game as much as I can. There was this time when, I don't want to mention names, but there was this one YouTuber that said, this game is more than what I expected. It's too long, so too long games are not good for the game itself and not good for a YouTuber like me, because I want to shift to other games. The game is not letting me go and try new games so I could review and put down more reviews within a short period of time. I genuinely disagreed with those opinions. I genuinely disagreed. Constantly tried to convince myself that they were wrong, but unfortunately, there is nothing better than experiencing it because you learn from it. I experienced Odyssey and I learned they are almost right. Yeah, I got like the time of my life, to be honest, because it's pandemic right now, because so people got more time to enjoy anything more than ever. The problem with this game is that it felt like super dragging. Of course, there were RPG type side quests with different endings. Of course, there were shit ton of side quests that never felt the same. But yeah, there is but all of those side quests were almost inclined in the same circular motion of doing same things over and over again. It's like, imagine if you are riding a horse in a circuit type map and one guy gives you a chocolate when you finish one circuit. The other guy gives you an ice cream the second time you finish the circuit. So the only difference is every time you finish a circuit, get a new thing, or you experience a new ice cream, but the journey is the same. I hope you guys get it. If you don't, let me get into further in deep into the topic. There was this one quest where the dialogue is different, the story, the background of why she gave me the quest is different, but the experience was the same compared to the previous side quest that I did. All I gotta do is go somewhere, kill some guys, get the loot, or talk someone into doing something and come back. Isn't that the same with Witcher 3? Witcher 3, a game that was used as an inspiration by the Ubisoft developers to create Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey? No. Witcher 3 was, in every shape or form, unique. Even the Witcher contracts that you get from the signboards were different. You go to one place, you kill the enemies, you get the loot. Nah, not for Witcher 3. You go to one place, you get a guy into, talk a guy into giving us more money. When you accept the contract, you go and search for the hunt. And trust me, every single contract in the game is absolutely different from one another. Assassin's Creed Origins tried to copy that feature by putting this investigation scenario in some of the side and main quests. And trust me, the investigation scenarios in Assassin's Creed Origins was way better than Odyssey. Because even that game that had little to do with the RPG, even that Origins game felt soulful. Like the investigation scenarios were so good actually. I'm not going to lie. It actually bring more life into it. You're just investigating. For example, if you do play like an old school RPG, it's mostly about a guy telling you a text story. When I say text story, dialogues are not involved because of the engine limitations and everything. And you go to a place and you see do a finish a quest and you kill an enemy and you read the textbook he had in his pocket, and there tells the entire story of what his background is and everything. That was the limitation of that old school, because you have to go through the process of reading the book. The book might have interesting story, but for a guy or a zoomer or a middle-aged boomer wouldn't risk wasting time reading books. But with this investigation scenarios that you put through, where you investigate a certain place, would help the player to learn more new things. Where the third person character which we are playing literally tells you stuff. They look at a fingerprint or a blood stain and they tell you, they repeat what's going in their minds through the words, and you understand it. And when you understand it, when you listen to it, you go through this memory of, oh, this happened, that happened, it takes you through a journey. It's like a grandpa, a good middle-aged grandpa that tells you a story so peacefully and leads you to the experience. You memorize things on your brain. You memorize experiences. And it's not just that specialty for Witcher 3. There was also something special about the missions of every single contract. You expect contracts to go somewhere, kill someone, come back. But that's not just it. Maybe you go somewhere. Maybe you don't kill someone. Maybe you choose the side of the devil and kill the contractor. Something like that. Every experience felt different from the ground up. And I got a lot of examples to talk about how the contract was very different. I just want to get into, because I just want to make this video, the podcast, entirely focused on the Assassin's Creed Odyssey scenario. So with that kept inside, the reason why I said Odyssey was soulless is one of the lack of real independent experiences. Because of course it's a different dialogue, of course it's a different story, but at the end of the day, the process of finishing or achieving the self-accomplishment almost feels the same. It's almost like you go to a bandit camp or you go to a red color fort. The experience is almost the same, because you go there, you kill somebody, you sneak and kill everyone, you finally kill the leader, and you loot the place and you finish the area. Same goes for the red fort which is out there. It's a big place. It's a kind of difficult because there's a lot of enemies. There's a giant campfire kind of stuff on the top of a middle tower, and you need to make sure you set the trap so that if enemies actually accidentally saw you, they would set the trap upon themselves and kill themselves. So the experience is the same. The journey is a bit different, but the experience is the same. Like Let me tell you something. If you're an RPG player, a seriously hardcore RPG player that loves RPG, you would probably end up not finishing Assassin's Creed Odyssey if you don't have patience or enough time. If you're a seriously hardcore Assassin's Creed fan that literally a completionist that finished every Assassin's Creed out there, if you're that type of guy, you would definitely finish this game. Not only that, you will also enjoy the experience, but you won't, trust me, you won't enjoy as much as you enjoyed Assassin's Creed Origins. Or maybe you might have some other giant reason to love Odyssey over Origins. Let me nitpick like very simple things that could have been inspired and revolutionized in Odyssey, but they didn't, but they failed. The variety of places. Of course, Egypt is kind of looks the same, it's filled with desert, so you probably expect a lot of similar areas because the giant hilly deserty mountains to the Egyptian pyramids to the uh, same looking homeless people's broken ass houses. They almost look the same, right? But still, except for the uh, fill up maps in Origins, the rest of the maps that lead you to the main story quest line, all of those portions of the map actually felt like it had life. The tutorial area in Origins is one of the best examples you could ever give because you would definitely go back to the tutorial area once again for one of the main quests. It takes you back to where you started at. And also the tutorial area had a lot of energy and life into it. For example, if you walk by the road, the soldiers that is passing by like scolds you for staying at the road and asks you, get out of the road. The Origins had carriages. The Origins had special type of arrows that zombify your enemies into attacking their own ally. Origins had way more better quality of life. Origins had way more better looks. Origins had way more better places of interest. Origins had way more better distant landscape beauty. Origins had way more better animal varieties. And like, can you ever forget that special feature in Origins where when you walk nearby the seashore or when you cross a river, there is this penguin. Is it actually penguin? Yeah, like the penguin kind of birds that just fly across you. In long distance, you could view like a group, an army of penguins or that rose color bird that flies. It crosses it overshadows and crosses the beautiful sunset along with the beauty of the sky and the beauty of the sky clouds and the birds crossing by while you do some activities around the riverside or fighting with the crocodiles or whatever. You see those moments which grabs in your brain for almost the rest of your life. Like the very first thing that comes into my mind when I think about Assassin's Creed Origins is me crossing a marshy kind of land that has water crossing by. I was just crossing the water with my horse and a crocodile was chasing me. That's the first thing that comes in my mind every time when I think about Origins. Just like that, there is a lot of memory, nostalgias that can be shared by a lot of people that really enjoyed that game. I'm not saying, I'm not sugarcoating Origins. Origins literally had a lot of problems when it comes to the side quests. That was something that was kind of fixed by Odyssey, but they failed at what Origins did best. Origins from the ground up had a lot of. I just don't want to keep on comparing the game to Odyssey because I lose the point. That's not what I'm actually want to talk about Odyssey, because I think I have to mention this one more thing before going to the actual matter of the ground up problem with Odyssey. Before going to that, I think I need to mention the actual matter of what Origins, where Origins shine best. Origins shine best in the story, but there is something that leads you to the story, which is the actual experience. First impression is the best impression. It's like a Doom game. If you play the Doom 2016, it puts you straight into the fight. Just like that in Origins, it puts you straight into the fight. You kill one of the cult members. You started off you started off the game by fighting in a boss battle. But in Odyssey, they start you off by fighting an army of people, and then for some reason you go and fight another guy, and boom, it's immediately a memory of what happened in the past, the great Spartan warrior, and the bird flies and it takes you through the skies, and it finally leads you to the Cassandra, which is sitting in like a homeless, broken ass house. And you think, oh my god, I was just having this experience which I kind of felt unreal, because I wasn't so used to the character. Before I got used to the character, they took me straight into the future, and I'm just sitting here with Cassandra. What the hell? And even the tutorial area of Odyssey felt so unrealistically restricted. When it comes to the ground up problem with Odyssey, is everything about the lifeless soul the Odyssey had. You can compare Odyssey to its utmost level to Origins and still end up finding good things about Origins that could absolutely beat the crap out of Odyssey. Origins, how you guys, like, if you're actually a good fan of Origins, you might have probably encountered a lot of YouTube recommendations back in 2016. I mean, the game was released in 2000, right? Yeah, back in 2016, you might have encountered a lot of video recommendations of the quality of attention or the small quality of detail in Assassin's Creed Origins video. Have you felt that? I mean, have you seen those videos where people show the quality of life features in Assassin's Creed Origins? Where you jump on a oily pool and the oil burns and you also burn, or you jump on an oily pool and then you come to the shore and your full body is covered with oil. Those kind of quality of life features that was up there in Odyssey as well, but it wasn't very clear because Odyssey had this giantess problem of focusing too much on dialogue mechanics and the RPG choices. Of course, there were the important features of Odyssey, but that were the only things that shined the most. The experience is all about what you see and go through, which lacked in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Can you think of a place that reminds you of the good cherished memories in Assassin's Creed Odyssey? No. You know why? Because Assassin's Creed Odyssey had this giant problem of not having variety maps that has this variety elements or features into it. This is one of the giant ass problems of Assassin's Creed Odyssey that I genuinely feel would repeat again with Valhalla, because Valhalla has only like these two main islands. One is this Britain, the other is this Norway. I'm kinda afraid if the Norway only looks exactly the same like the Valhalla. You know what Valhalla means, right? Valhalla means this beautiful farmer land with this beautiful sunshine and the mountains far by and this small trees here and there. That's the representation of what Valhalla feels like. I'm kind of afraid if there is only few variety areas, just like in Odyssey, because in Odyssey the maps almost looks the same. I mean, can you point out any, like, the Odyssey didn't fail to keep on mentioning the name Athens, 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 and once you go to Athens, it's not a big deal. It's not even close to one of the best buildings in Origins, one of the best cities in Origins. They tried to replicate Novigrad from Witcher 3 but absolutely failed. Almost, you guys might have seen that giant ass structures with these columns. If you just check out the picture that I shown in this video, you see at the bottom there is this Japanese looking roofs, and they got a lot of like thick long columns, you know, that supports it. That's the only thing in the game. That's the only giant ass structure in the game, excluding the statues which is out there. The only thing that comes into our mind is those statues of those naked guys with this muscular body, what you actually seen in the trailer. The game itself didn't deliver nothing special, because all the structures, the map, the areas, the land almost looked the same. Can you guys just resemble or recollect at least one place that comes in your mind when you think about Odyssey? No place. Maybe that giant ass naked muscular guy in that tutorial world, maybe, but nothing else. Like, what were you thinking when you constantly kept on listening like an ear rape on your ear about the term Athens? You thought Athens was cool. You came to Athens and there was nothing special. You saw some construction going on, and according to the developer, after a while the construction will be completely finished and you would see an entire new Athens or whatever. Still, actually the city of Athens wasn't that big actually. And you see, I mean, I'm strongly up to this belief that they did this carbon copy kind of thing where they just want to bring up a rushed up game within a few years. And you know, the Ubisoft developing team is so big, so it's like a Domino's pizza, you know. The bigger the brand is, the smaller the vision is. They got only one, like the Domino's pizza, they got only two universal agenda going on in their brain. The two universal agenda is, number one, to deliver the pizza within 30 minutes. Number two, to make a broken ass pizza that is average when it comes to taste. Nothing bigger. That's why Neapolitan pizzas from Italy tastes much better than Domino's pizza, because once they get universal, once the market is giant and big, the core of what a pizza should be slowly starts depleting. Just like that, Ubisoft probably has one of the biggest gaming studios out there. They might not be the biggest gross when it comes to money. Maybe Rockstar holds the palace or Blizzard does, but Ubisoft has one of the biggest giant ass teams. So the giant the team, the giant the project is. That's why the map is so huge. They split the map into different halves and give it as a project for these students, which is in the different studios or But they divide them into teams, team A, team B, and they give these maps and they tell them these are the basic features that should be there. Come up with your own side quests that has nothing to do with the main quest. And after they completely finish, after every team finishes the map, they connect it and sync the edges of the map so that it doesn't feel like it was done by two different teams. And then they come up with the main story, put it in the entire map, and along with the story they put some side quests that has something to do with the main quest, so it feels like you're in a living open world. But they actually failed to do it, but the vision, because the vision was incorrect, the vision was actually, it didn't happen, or maybe the vision wasn't there in the first place in the mind of the creative director. It felt like what should I say, the 2014 version of Elder Scrolls Online, where the whole world lacked anything but vacuum. It was a vacuum land with this weird ass oversaturated grass and trees, with this really weird overly closing Fallout 76 like god rays, and in some places some beautiful distant views. That's just it. There's nothing special to it. There were a lot of good elements the game had, but it actually failed to impress. Should have been those good elements like the dialogue choices, the ship mechanics. They should have been in the front line when you talk about everything good about the game. It should have been in the front line, but it failed with all the broken ass microtransactions, with all the lack of life into it, the lack of NPCs. Like, you go into Origins, oh my god, I'm just still going into Origins and comparing it, but I cannot stop it. But still, you can go into Origins and you can watch what the NPCs are doing, and you can feel like there is actually life, there is an economy going on. But you go to Origins, almost all the NPCs look the same. I mean, you go to Odyssey and almost all the NPCs look the same. It's actually ridiculous. That's one of the main points that I have to mention, because that's something that literally kills the series. When it doesn't have a core, when it doesn't have a vision, when it doesn't have a soul, the player doesn't feel immersed. Once when a player reaches pass over, like, what should I say, what's the best number you could come up with? Yeah, let's say 50 hours. Just like me, a guy like me that passes 50 hours into the game, he or she would probably kind of get the idea of what the game is going to lead, because there is nothing new the game offering. It's like it's almost the same every time you finish a quest. You know what's going to happen next. And one of the bad things that I have to mention is the leveling of NPCs with you. Even the villagers, even the rich merchants or whatever that scrolls around the cities and everything, they seem like look like cities, to be honest. The problem with the NPCs is that even they level up with you. So what's the point of the blade, the weapon, or the armor that you're using? Like, when you reach level 32, your enemies reach level 32. All of the quests reach level 32. How does that make any sense with an RPG game? It's a role-playing game. How is this role-playing when there is no self-accomplishment of the achievements that you did? It's like you go to a quest, you go to a test, university test, and you got A+. You worked so hard and you got 93 out of 100. And there is a broken ass crackhead which always sits in the back and doesn't listen to the class, and he gets like 4 out of 100. And the teacher goes and recorrects it and scale it to your level. They scale that crackhead's pass mark to 94 out of 100. You get 93, the guy get 94, and you think to yourself like, what the hell? I worked my ass off to get 93. And he immediately got scaled up. All the quests that I decided to finish later, it's just, what the hell? Oh yeah, the developers don't want you to feel overpowered. Oh, I get it, but I get a better idea. Why don't you just come up with some new enemies that is actually as much overpowered so that you don't feel like you are some god? Why don't you just come with some enemies that actually looks like they are powerful, that looks and acts like they are powerful? Unlike those stupid ass villagers who walk around the city or the village or whatever, the farmers, they level with you. What the hell? Even the farmers level with you. How does that make you feel powerful? And also, let's not deny the fact that the level scaling is kind of a big mistake. And to add more flame into the fire, when you play the game in hard or the hardcore nightmare difficulty mode, the enemies are literally bullet sponges. Do you guys ever, if you ever played Dark Souls, have you ever felt the moment of pleasure when you go back to those lower level areas and literally kill people with one shot? Yeah, those kind of experience would never happen with a game like Odyssey, because you never felt powerful. Like you work your ass off to finish all those contracts, the side quests, the main quests, the boring ass fetch quests, and the completionist quests or whatever. And then you go nearby the vineyard, and there is a farmer that literally plucks on the worm-filled soil with a pickaxe the past 3 days, and he's as skilled as you. You're level 32. Oh, surprise! He's level 33, and I'm like, what? That's like one of the minuscule problems with the game. The biggest problem is not the combat, not the broken ass, zoomed out MMO type looking combat. The main problem is the lack of life in the game itself. You go to games like Skyrim or Witcher 3 and you remember places like Solitude, Riverwood known for this comfy, beautiful, silly, simple place. You go to Solitude and it's known for, it's not like the Skyrim is so sophisticatedly amazing. No, I'm a fan of Skyrim, but Skyrim still sucks in a lot of ways when it comes to how the city should look like. Solitude should actually look like a village, because when you compare the games with the old games like Daggerfall or Morrowind or Oblivion, the cities in Skyrim is nothing, but they're still, for the sake of comparing, Skyrim has more memorable places. Witcher 3 has more memorable places. And when you take a game like GTA 5, where the 90% of the buildings are non-interactable, even that game puts you with this idea of remembrance, the semblance of the places that you've been through. Assassin's Creed doesn't have that. You go to a village that is covered by a tree, or you just go to a bandit camp. You don't know the difference. You wouldn't know if the place is a forest or place is a island or city, because everything looks the same, man. Everything looks the same. Can you immediately, like, if I immediately ask you a question other than Athens, can you tell me one interesting place in the map? Name one interesting place in the map. Yeah, Athens, because they keep on ear raping your ear with the term Athens all the time. All the NPCs talk about Athens. Ignore that. Talk about one place that gives you a remembrance. It's not because of the complicated names which they gave based according to law. It's not that, actually. It's not because the names were so big. No. It's because of the lack of variety. It was just built up like a broken ass, rushed MMORPG type of game. This is where the problem actually lies. And let's hope that Ubisoft hears the situation and comes up with some conclusions. If not, we're gonna have really bad experiences with the future of Assassin's Creed. We don't want to assassin the Creed, but we want to assassin the problems with the game so that we would find something better for the gaming community to experience. And that would be better for the entire players itself. Let Valhalla be a really much better game. I don't want to talk about the graphics with Valhalla. Let's talk a bit about Valhalla. Valhalla, the graphics looks like it's the current gen, I'm not going to lie. I mean, let's just ignore all the cinematic trailers which they showed, which they spewed. They were clear, it's clearly intentional that they never showed the gameplay because the game isn't actually next gen, to be honest. Let me tell you that. Yeah, with all the unoptimization and this Denuvo DRM crap, definitely the game's going to be super unoptimized on PC. And people are going to say, oh, the game is hard to, the game is so next gen that it doesn't work on PC that well. The game doesn't run much well on PC because it's so next gen. No, it's not. That's not the same with, like, I remember this one time when the developers of Odyssey said about the DRM situation. They said the game is so advanced and the open world that it's hard for the current CPUs and PCs to take advantage of what the game has to offer. No, the game runs literally better on PS4 than it could ever run on a medium PC. On a medium build PC, it runs way worse than a $200 PS4. A PC that has the way better specs than PS4. The game still runs on PS4. Why? It was built and optimized for PS4 and Xbox. It wasn't optimized, and because of the to add more flame into the fire, the DRM bullshit caused even more issues with the game, and that's why the game could barely run on high settings in PC. You never find the same with Far Cry because Far Cry is done by different developers and they don't put this DRM bullshit, trust me, and runs much better. And the performance you have with games like Far Cry is what the game could offer. Maybe it could be much more optimized, but still at the end of the day, the business practices of Assassin's Creed, we gotta admit, no matter how fanatic you are, it kinda sucks. It sucks so bad. We don't want those business practices to be repeated, and I kind of hope, like, it's like a hope that is unfulfilled forever. It's like a hope that doesn't make no sense. But I gotta say it though, we hope that the game is optimized on PC. Like, this is literally the every time, like, even when I'm not streaming, I literally talk to myself. I hope the new games out there gets optimized and people actually talk about the situation. I'm actually thinking about making a video about this situation because a lot of these reviewers, you need to understand, these people that review the game, the people that get early copy, they all got the best advanced RTX 280 Ti, the RTX Gigabyte Ryzen, whatever, the best performance, super hardcore PCs out there. They're not, they have no reason to worry about anything because they will always get 4K 60 FPS every time they hop on to any game. But that's not the case with mid-range PCs or budget PCs or people like us. We need to speak up. We need to raise voices. We need to be heard much more in Discord or on YouTube or whatever, or Reddit, so that these people would cherry pick and make 22-minute article reading content out of us, which is good for us because their voices are the voices that is heard by the developers. They don't go around, developers don't go around and scroll around every single teeny tiny bit of what the fans' concerns is. But this is one of the biggest concerns that needs to be heard because it ruins the experience. And I always hate games that are unoptimized. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey holds second position in my book as the worst unoptimized game. You guys might be thinking more, okay, so what's the first unoptimized game in my book? Definitely Dishonored 2, man. Definitely Dishonored 2. With that, I'd like to conclude the podcast. I'm almost running out of saliva in my mouth, so I gotta refill with the water. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be coming up with more news and latest news about Assassin's Creed in the coming years. Just don't worry about it. It's only a matter of time when the creative director gives us a hope. Let's not deny that. We're going to end this podcast with that conclusion. The creative director, Ismail, gets the job done because Black Flag was a really good game. I really enjoyed the game for its ship mechanics than anything else. So we can hope at least the ship mechanics in the game is going to be much better, even though there is no cannon. You cannot have cannons in the game, the cannon attacks through ships because it doesn't appear well with the lore because there wasn't cannons for Vikings. Vikings was so dumb and broken ass, like any other broken ass raiders that was written in the history by the lore beards out there. I mean, at least we could hope that the storyline and the ship mechanics would be better. So we got a lot of hope. Definitely I will try. Even if the game is reduced in the reviews as a shit game, still I would definitely try it. Because I'm kind of a fan of an Assassin's Creed. So that's it. Have a nice day, guys. The podcast is ending. See you next time. Peace.